and friends, Rev Kev coming to you from the Bloom office. I'm in the conference room, meeting room, choir practice room. That's a part of the office today. We had a meeting in here this week, which was a first in, gee whiz, a year and a half. Obviously, we had been doing the worship services from here, and there were maybe some informal things. And you remember seeing the picture of the Bloom folks putting together around here the backpacks for our elementary school students as a part of our Social Action and Missions annual backpack ministry. And so, yes, we've had some activities going on in here, but we had an actual church meeting. Nominations committee met, the ad hoc nominations committee met, and we sat around these little tables and had, it felt just like the good old days. Speaking of the good old days, you remember those good old days when people were getting vaccinated, and we were all so excited that the vaccines were coming out and we were eligible, and we were waiting and trying to make our times and getting it done. And a whole group of us were, the majority of the people that I know, for every reason, the only reason that there are people who are unvaccinated that I know are people that have medical reasons due to treatments or particular conditions that they're living with, which is completely understandable. And yet, we now are living in an aspect of some element of fear based upon the fact that the fact that unvaccinated people transmitting the virus from one to another have allowed the virus to mutate, which is something that normally happens when it's given, when it's, for lack of a better phrase, out of control. Out of control in a sense that it was not meeting the resistance of vaccinations. So there is an unvaccinated population in our country and to some extent in our area. Not this area here so much as people in other parts of the country, but that's throwing fear of the Delta variant and other kinds of situations in people's minds. So therefore now we have some guidance that in areas of high transmissibility, people are being suggested that people wear masks indoors. Now, just this morning, the Riverside, and this may change, but just this morning, Riverside County came out and said that in our county, the transmissibility rate is not yet in a place where they would recommend putting masks for going back, mandating or suggesting that masks be for when people are inside. So we continue to follow the guidance of the CDC, the Riverside County, the state of California in what we are recommending for our Sunday morning worship. That said, I want to say that I'm seeing a few more people at the gym, a few more people around downtown at the grocery store, that sort of thing, who are wearing masks voluntarily. And that is exactly the case that can be the fact for Sunday morning worship. If you choose to wear a mask throughout the service upon arrival and departure and throughout the service, we are completely welcoming of that and understand totally what people are thinking about that. At the same time, we are in a place where, for the time being, the transmissibility percentage is low, and the rate, the percent of vaccinated population is high. And so in that situation, it is true that the number of cases in our local hospitals is rising, but those are more than 90% people who are unvaccinated. So if you are vaccinated and choose not to wear a mask in a Bloom activity at this point, you are fully within the realms of science and fully within the realms of caring for one another. If you, for whatever reason, are unvaccinated, we would recommend that you wear a mask when you're in a Bloom activity. And it's another reason that we are working so hard to provide a quality video experience, so that if you are a vulnerable person or an unvaccinated person regarding this, that you may enjoy Sunday morning worship live in your home via the computer, via Facebook, or on a delay via YouTube. One more point. I'm in this room today. This is the room that if the congregation decides to move forward With the project, it would lose a wall. And, the old stage situation, and the prosceniums back when I was in college, they talked about breaking the fourth wall, which means that invisible wall that is between you and the audience when you're acting on stage. Well, in this case, we actually have a fourth wall in this room, and the basic vote would be on whether or not the congregation agrees to spend the money to break through this wall. The purpose of doing that would be to enlarge this space, to allow it to allow this office area to be more flexible, and to allow us to accommodate larger groups, and certainly to allow us to accommodate a higher level of social distancing, not only now in the pandemic, post the waning pandemic days, but also in the cold and flu season, or any way that people want to maintain that for themselves at any time. All of this is keeping in mind, our fundamental commandment as a part of our life together, and that commandment is that we love one another. And in that sense, we continue the tradition of the Hebrew people. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength is the first commandment, and the second commandment is like this. Jesus said, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So whatever we are doing in our ministry and in the ways that we're preparing to welcome people on Sunday morning, as well as to experience the worship of God and care for one another in our Sunday service and as our activities here at the office, we're doing our very best to love our neighbor as ourselves. Hope to see you in church on Sunday. It is the first Sunday, so it's Communion Sunday. We will be using the little mini chalices again this Sunday. And we also have the congregation meeting following that service. Remember that members have vote, all people have voice, members have vote. It is one agenda item, and that is the resolution that members and associate members received in the mail and by email, and has been linked in Bloom Notes and will be linked in Bloom Notes again this week. So join us. We hope you can be there. If you can't be with us in body, please be with us online, or please be with us in spirit. And until then, as always, please keep us in your prayers.